and this is how it is, and it's because of this and that and that. But then again, what are we doing? What steps are we taking to make that progress to, like, as we, whole purpose, how are we going to close that achievement gap?
So you join me in just a line of two of, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary.
My name is William Mathis. I am a pastor here in New Haven.
The name of the church is Springs of Life-Giving Water. Springs, as you know, is an internal bubbling up. That is the message that I wish to carry.
Were Daddy Bill at church, or it was Uncle Scasey, Uncle Brady from my family. It was Mr. Potee, who lived down the street, or Mr. John, who ran the local store. And so that kind of experience shaped my understanding of being a man.
Yes, I have a personal mother and father, but the next door neighbors are my mothers and my fathers. And the people down the street are my mothers and fathers. The people I go to church with are my mother and father. And they have as much vested interest in me, my progression, and etc., as my biological mother and father. I have here with me Aaron Brantley. I met Aaron about a year or so ago.
Aaron was convicted of attempted bribery charge, but Aaron had no prior record. Yet he was sentenced to 1 year incarceration.
Reverend Mathis, kind of in a sense, like, took me under his wings, just started talking to me about the process. And I mean, I have lawyers, but, he just went into it like detail, kind of like, like a father. My biological father, he's like, my father is, let's say one of many. He's like about 15, 15 kids. My father was there supportive, but, okay, wait a minute, baby. He didn't have the same information that Pastor Mathis had.
Sometimes the surrogate fathers in the traditional African-American community is much broader than whether or not that is the biological father. Where my brother may not have the understanding or information in regards to the legal system, it becomes my obligation as a member of this community, as a member of this village, to provide that nurturing, provide that instruction, provide that discipline, provide that kind of framework, basically restoring the village, restoring understanding the village concept.
You gonna be shy of the camera?
What fatherhood means to me, it's everything. It's what you go to school for, what you work hard for. It means everything. It's they uplift you when you're down. They give you reason, purpose. Why you fight when a lot of times you just want to give up. And you look at them and they don't, I'm not going to say they don't have a care. Well, yeah, they don't have a care in the world because they're depending on you. You don't want to let them down.
My name is Morris Sumter. When I was growing up, I didn't have a clear definition what fatherhood was until I got in prison. I was 23 years old when I was in prison. I probably met Pastor Mathis when I was 25, and at that point it was a big turning point inside my life. I didn't have a lot of male figures around me, and Pastor Mathis came through, and the language that he began to speak, just the love alone, it drew me because nobody never came at me or even said word in the way he was saying it. And so through time, not only did he stay inside follow me at Welly Avenue, but when I went around, they were shipping me around Connecticut to various jails, he always followed me. Even when I came home, I had absolutely nothing whatsoever. They welcomed me with open arms. And I define it as a relationship because it teaches you things. I mean, even when you're mad and upset and you want to be angry with them, you find yourself you can't be angry because guess what? They love you and you understand that they want the best for you. Everything he instilled in me is still working to today. Listen, I work at this job right here. I've been working at this job 7.5 years. I never worked at a job a day inside of my life other than selling drugs. But they teach us, but not they, because he was doing the teaching. Teach us what it is to stand up and stay focused and go to work and have a vision and work on your vision. I can imagine if I didn't hear those teachings, I would have never had my own business. I've been in business for 5 years right now, and it's still counting. And I'm still graduating to do bigger and better things and building relationships with not only just community but restoring families. I have a little son right now, and guess what? I'm able to be a good mentor to him. I have a 17-year-old son that's down south. Our relationship has been restored. So a father, I defined as somebody who takes a quality time to chastise you, to love on your happy and sad times, and I define it that's right here. I love him so much.
I can't help but get a little emotional because we've known each other so long, and I'm so very proud of him. I remember who he was when I first met him, and to see who he is now, I'm just so proud of him. I'm just very, very proud of him. I love you too. Bless you.
How I began the foundation of the surrogate fatherhood with those that I work with is listening. I think for the most part, we are not listening to them. We've been so influenced by researchers and data-driven stuff that doesn't really take into account the cultural competency required to understand the data and to understand people. And so we only hear what we want to hear from them because we've already got this kind of stereotype of who they are. But I think to really begin to make impact in the young men's life and in at-risk young women's life, we have to listen to them. I am humbled that a boy that came from a place where two dirt roads met together, where my grandmother, all she did all her life was press clothes. And my mother and my grandmother and my community and the church that I came from, wasn't a whole lot of lawyers or doctors, but they believed that there was something possible. And they believed in me even sometimes when I didn't believe in myself or that I failed. I did everything to be destructive to my own. And the least I can do is to give back and that. And I think it began because they always knew and they always encouraged. They always
okay.
It's part of my task. It's part of my life. What is success for me is not being able to have a lot of stuff. I like all of that. But I think success for me is to make sure that I spark that internal flow in other people as well.
We are back with you. It's in the Village with A&M and Margie on the South Orange Maple Online Radio Experience. Coming to you every Monday through Friday from 8 to 9:30 p.m. That's 8 to 9:30 p.m. You can reach us here at 973-327-3626. That's 973-327-3626. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/SoulMore Radio. That's facebook.com/SoulMore Radio. You can tweet us at SoulMore Radio. That's at SoulMore Radio. You can also listen to us on tunein.com. That's TUNEIN.com. Once you go to tunein.com, you just type in SoulMore and our icon will come up. And you can save it to listen to us in the future. Margie, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Ansel. It's a nice cold night.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you? How was the track meet you went to?
It went pretty good.
So were you acting as coach or?
As coach. As coach. You know, I got to coach. I got to give some of
How
what.
How old are these people you're coaching?
16,
Is
17.
it the youngest? Or is that just a general age group?
General age group. Freshman, sophomore, juniors, and seniors.
Is this a team that's not related to a school or?
No, it's related to a school.
Oh, okay.
Oratory Prep. Now, You know, we have had several discussions here in the Village with A&M and Marjorie about how the media looks at certain things that they want to highlight, right? Now, what's the big news story over the past 3 days?
That has displaced the police off in situations in New York City.
Yeah.
It's the bombing. No, the gunman that went into the
Yeah.
not newspaper but magazine
Yes.
in France
Mhm.
and shot members of the press or
Right. They killed
Yeah.
12 people,
12 people.
including 2 police officers.
Wow.
You know, and that's the big story, right? Now, how many people? Only 12 people died.
12 French people.
Yeah, and that's a big story, right? That's a big story.
It became a big story, sure.
It was all over the press, man.
All over the press.
But there was a bigger story that
Or a bigger atrocity, we should say. Yes,
What's
not
the
a bigger story.
bigger story.
Because no, they didn't make it a story. The story gets big if the media makes it big.
But it's a bigger story.
atrocity. Yes,
But it's a bigger story than 12 people being killed. Anybody dying, right, is senseless, especially when you have gunmen just storming into places and killing these individuals. But Boko Haram killed over 2,000 people in Nigeria. And mainstream media decided that they wanted to be silent on that. But why? You think that's not a bigger story than the story out of France? Is that what it is? I mean, why would you ignore
the deaths
2,000?
of 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000 Nigerians being killed. Right? Same terrorists, right? The ones in France, they're terrorists. Where Al Qaeda has taken
Taking the response.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They're terrorists, right? Boko Haram is terrorists. So what is really? Why is one story so significant, and one story is insignificant?
I don't know. I want to read this article, but I don't have the one that you have. I have one from world.mike.
Yeah.
Terrorists killed 2,000 people in Nigeria, so why doesn't the world care? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, well, you know, let's hear, because I don't know if everyone knows about this, because we all know about what happened in France to the best degree. A magazine, a satirical magazine, kept doing cartoons with the Prophet Muhammad. And as you know, in Islam, you cannot show Muhammad's face. They don't go along with any kind of depiction of Muhammad, pictures. You know, they're not for any of that. There's no icons like that for the majority of it. For the most Muslims are just, you know, dealing with their geometric mathematical shapes.
No, you know, it's funny. It's Charlie. They call it Hebdo.
Yes.
It seemed like they dropped it's Hebdo. It seemed like they dropped the B in France. I'm not
When
French.
they speak, or
when they speak, it's Charlie Hebdo. Hebdo.
so they say, I don't know.
Hebdo.
Hebdo.
So Hebdo. They say Charlie Hebdo.
Okay.
Right? Now, they normally run about 60,000 copies.
Sold out.
They print
Their own
but that's
misfortune.
okay. But that's okay. That's okay. That's capitalism. You know, we really can't be upset with that. Right? So
Well, you get the question already. Let me read the article.
okay, go ahead.
Terrorists killed 2,000 people in Nigeria last week. So why doesn't the world care? Again, this is coming from world.mike or mic.com. The past week has been one of horror for France. After a 3-day rampage in which terrorists killed 17 people, both at the Charlie Hebdo.
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 Yeah, they call it Hebdo.
Offices and at a Jewish kosher supermarket, one fugitive still remains at large. An estimated 3.7 million French citizens took to the streets of Paris